Our frustration builds when Jesus doesn't do things the way we think he should do them. Jesus, I thought you would get me out of this situation, and it seems like the situation has only gotten worse. Jesus, I've been tithing and being generous, but it still feels like my bank account isn't building up. See, we have to understand that we must temper our expectations because our ideas, Isaiah 55, 10 and 11 says, are lower than his ideas. Because here's the thing that we have to understand as of Jesus as the sovereign. He always has a plan and he always has a reason for everything. Verse number 4, it says, this took place to fulfill what was spoken by the prophet. And the prophet here is the prophet Zechariah. He has a book in the Old Testament. Say to the daughter of Zion, behold, your king is coming to you, humble and mounted on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a beast of burden. See, everything Jesus does has intentionality. Everything Jesus does has purpose. And if you look in the book of Zechariah, chapter 9, verse 9, you'll actually see where this was prophesied of Jesus 520 years before he ever walked the earth. And so in requesting these donkeys, Jesus is doing it so that he can further demonstrate to people, look, I'm the one you're waiting for. I'm the king. I'm who you're looking for. Because Jesus had been building to this moment, and the people had been waiting for this moment. But the only problem was their expectation and anticipation of this moment didn't match Jesus' intentions and goals for this moment. Have you ever waited for something so long that as the moment even approaches, it doesn't actually help the anticipation, but it builds it more? Right? I talked about Christmas. I remember when me and my beautiful wife, Christine, we were getting married back in December of 2007. We had our rehearsal dinner the night before and everything like that. And she went to her house and I stayed at her grandmother's house. And I couldn't sleep is an understatement. And I thought I knew the exact thing to help, reading a scholarly biblical commentary. And that didn't even help, mostly because I really like to read scholarly biblical commentaries. But nevertheless, I was waiting for this moment, and as it drew near, the anticipation just rose. And I want you to picture it right now. The Israelite people had been waiting forever, it felt like, for this moment in history. For the time when their king would arrive on a donkey to overthrow their oppressors and give them the run of the land. But like I said, the only problem was that Jesus didn't come to fulfill their idea of Messiah. See, and that's where a lot of us get tripped up at times. It's where a lot of us who have been following Jesus maybe for 15 years or maybe for 15 minutes, our frustration builds when Jesus doesn't do things the way we think he should do them. Jesus, I thought you would get me out of this situation, and it seems like the situation has only gotten worse. Jesus, I've been tithing and being generous, but it still feels like my bank account isn't building up. See, we have to understand that we must temper our expectations because our ideas, Isaiah 55, 10 and 11 says, are lower than his ideas. Actually, it says it's this way, for his thoughts are not our thoughts, and his ways are not our ways. They're above our thoughts and above our ways. And the reason why we have to be cautious with this is because remember, this is my personal opinion. I actually got into a discussion with a much more famous pastor. It wasn't with the pastor, but with people that follow him on social media. And I normally don't get into that kind of stuff. But he was speaking about this moment. And the debate was, How did people go from on Sunday worshiping him and celebrating him to by Friday saying, crucify him? And my belief is this: when you allow your expectations to be unmet by Jesus, when you place bad expectations on him, if you're not careful, it will turn your praise into you wanting him dead. See, Palm Sunday is a cautionary tale. To not get to the place where you think you know so much about him that when he doesn't meet your expectation, you get mad. Because here's the thing: he's the sovereign king. No king has to meet my expectation. Actually, the reverse is true. It's my responsibility as someone under his kingship to meet his expectations. See, that's one of the things, and I love the democratic republic that we live in. See, where we get to duly elect our leaders to represent us. See, in those kind of systems, you can get mad, especially if the person that you didn't want to lead you wins. None of us in here have ever gotten mad about that, right? None of you online, none of you are frustrated ever with any political decision, right? No, we're good. No, but seriously. But see, when you're in a kingdom with a king, I'm going to say it in the words of the great apostle, The Rock. It does not matter what you think. So we have to be careful, because Jesus didn't come to meet or fulfill our expectations. He came to meet and fulfill the Father's expectations. And so the question then is this: how do you and I respond when a king doesn't do what I want him to do? How do you respond? Maybe you're watching online and you've never been to church, or you've been away from church for a long time. And part of the reason is because you've been frustrated by church, or you've been frustrated by God. You've felt let down. You've felt abandoned. You've become disillusioned with religion. But maybe, just maybe, our disillusionment has to do with the fact not that God isn't who he says he is, but we believed a self-induced illusion of who he was in the first place. You can only be disillusioned if you believe an illusion. And so how do we respond in these moments? Because Christianity is the only kingdom where we think that we can tell the king what to do. It's the only kingdom. Try that anywhere else in the Middle East. Tell me how that works out for you. Or anywhere, really, where there's a monarchy that's not necessarily led by the most benevolent and good being of eternity. See, here's the thing. God is good. His ways are good. Romans 8:28 says that he works all things for the good. See, and the question isn't whether or not he's up to something good. The question is, can you perceive the good that he's doing? Or even better yet, can you allow your awareness that he's ultimately good to then be the barometer and the lens by which you view all of your circumstances, even if they're horrific? Because he is a good sovereign king. He is worthy of our praise. And it's easy to lose our sense of awe of him, especially when he doesn't meet our expectations.